am John Brady, President and CEO of the Independence Seaport Museum, caretakers of the Cruiser Olympia and the submarine Bakuna. Every Memorial Day, a group of veterans, their families, and active duty servicemen gather on Olympia to remember the sacrifices of this and past generations in service to their country. This year, because of the pandemic, that remembrance is happening remotely. We often hear that these are unprecedented times, but in 1918 and 1919, Olympia was in the Adriatic Sea on a humanitarian mission when the flu pandemic swept through the ship. It was the aftermath of World War I, when whole empires and their political systems were breaking apart. Olympia was aiding refugees, transporting doctors, nurses, and medical supplies, and performing much-needed functions as a regional police officer, all while the flu pandemic was sweeping through the region and the ship. In our collections, we have the diary of one of Olympia's sailors, Marvin Keck. He was a member of Olympia's band. Amid the anecdotes of daily shipboard life, his diary tells us of shipmates falling ill, of the need to move the sick bay to a larger space, and of the band being unable to play because so many members were sick. Accounts of shore leaves, ship maintenance, interpersonal rivalries are all interspersed with notes of fellow sailors passing away. Service brings risk of all kinds. In past conflicts, more died of disease than of combat. Olympia may be a reminder of how far we've come, but she is also a reminder that danger is ever present. We are here today because of the courage of those who came before us in facing those risks. We preserve this ship partly as a memorial and a reminder of what is required of us. This is a place to look in times of crisis to see how our predecessors have dealt with similar circumstances. We owe a great debt to the men and women who sacrificed everything to preserve a way of life for the rest of us. That is why we preserve this vessel and why we take a moment to remember those on whose shoulders we stand. Thank you.
Another Memorial Day is upon us, but this one is different, and I think you all can sense it. We are currently living in a world of quarantine and social distancing, working remotely from most job sites, children getting their lessons at home and not in the classroom, and watching so many people on the job who have to work because they are the first responders, the full range of medical personnel, grocery store workers, restaurants doing takeout and delivery, transportation workers, and caregivers, and yes, even for those of us who have to work from home. The list goes on. But we cannot forget to add to that list as we celebrate this Memorial Day our armed forces all over the world in various jobs and missions on land, at sea, under the sea, and in the air, with the sole purpose of protecting our American way of life. These men and women of our armed forces continue to be exposed to the dangers and the horrors of combat in many parts of the world. And on this Memorial Day, as on all Memorial Days, we remember those who have fallen and have given up their lives in the service of our country. We also remember their families because, as I have come to learn with our work at the Chapel of Four Chaplains in the Navy Yard, that behind every death to our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and merchant mariners, there is a Gold Star family somewhere grieving. And I want to challenge all of us today, as I have been challenged, from one recent combat veteran who survived when many of his colleagues did not. He said, and his challenge is, you ask yourself, are the choices that you make worthy of the sacrifices that your buddies have made? Your sons, your daughters, your friends. We can become oblivious as to what is the real cost and value here, but that real cost is human life. So while life goes on here in the United States, yes, even during these times of pandemic, there is a huge price being paid by some of us for the rest of us and for our freedom. The challenge are the choices that you are making today in this life that you are currently living. Is that worthy of the sacrifice of so many who gave their lives for us and for our country? So we remember them. They shall not go old as we are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Because for your tomorrow, they gave their today. Yes, we will remember them. And now to my shipmates on USS Olympia at Penn's Landing at the Independence Seaport Museum, render honors with the saluting battery.